So Mexico City is like a super dope city. A lot of things to do when you visit there, especially checking out museums. I was reading earlier today, it's over 150 museums when you go there. I've been there a couple times. The longest has been, I think, maybe like 2 months or something like that. And even within that time span, like, it's impossible to see all of those. So I put together a crazy list of the top 7 museums you should check out while you're in Mexico City. So make sure you stay along. So the first museum you want to make sure you check out when you visit Mexico City is the Museo Nacional de Antropologia. This is actually like the biggest museum in Mexico City. Gets over 2.3 million people visiting every single year, so it's one of the most popular ones out there. Over 80,000 square feet of just so much art, whether it's like pre-Columbian heritage artwork from collected from like artifacts from like all around Mexico, showcasing a lot of things from archaeological artifacts and anthropological artifacts, really just to get a better understanding of Mexico, its history, even like the ancient exhibits that you could find from like the civilizations from like the Mayans and the Aztecs. Even has like scale models of like places such as like Tenochtitlan. So if you know a lot about Mexico history, this is definitely one of the places that you want to go to, and you get to see like a real life view of everything that they have there on offer. The next museum you want to make sure you go check out is Museo Soumaya. It's actually one of my favorite museums. I lived in Polanco, which is like the upscale area in Mexico City. So I was literally just like a couple blocks away from the museum. So I went there. I passed by it pretty often. I was going to eat over there a lot. But the museum is actually like one of the most famous and highly recognized museums in Mexico City just because of the architecture. I mean, everybody was outside taking Instagram pictures. You know, it's like great architecture and everything that was designed. But the artwork inside the museum itself, I mean, it's worth close to $1 billion. It said it's worth over $700 million, which is pretty insane when you think about the artwork. And it has everything from Mexican artists to European artists. So you could see people such as Diego Rivera, Pablo Picasso, Vincent van Gogh, Salvador Dali, all of that good stuff. So you want to make sure you go check that out. It's a range of pre-Hispanic Mesoamerican artwork all the way into having the largest collection of coins from pre-Hispanic and colonial era, and also just European artwork from the 15th to the 20th century. So it's a lot of great things you could do when you visit Museo Soumaya. So make sure you check it out. Make sure you add it to your bucket list so you can check out all of the great things that it has to offer. The next museum you want to make sure you go check out is Museo del Palacio de Bellas Artes. When you see the building, it's one of the most beautiful buildings in Mexico City, especially like across the street is Torre Latinoamerica, where you could look down and see the entire structure. So people just go there really just because it's such a beautiful building, and it's actually like right in the middle of the cultural center of Mexico City, leading down towards the historic center. So it's around a lot of like happening things for like tourists and even locals like to hang out there. But so it's a lot of amazing artwork right inside the museum as well. So make sure you don't spend too much time outside taking all of the pictures and marveling at all of the sights around it. But you can see amazing artwork from like Mexican artists such as Diego Rivera, Frida Kahlo, Siqueiros. And it also features a lot of exhibits from like national artists. So it's like permanent exhibits, temporary exhibits that always cycle through. And even when I was there, I actually had a photo shoot there, I think. But they had like this crazy light show just on the building outside. So it's a really dope place if you want to go check out some really great art and just be in like a really bustling environment out in Mexico City. So I recommend it. The next museum on our list, we have Museo Nacional de Historia, which is actually in this huge castle called Chapultepec Castle. And it's located right in Chapultepec Park. And you really have to climb like this really big hill. And once you get to the top where the castle is located, it's looking out over all of Mexico City. So you have like amazing views. I swear it took like a whole hour just for me to actually go inside of it, just like marveling at the sights and just hanging out with a lot of people that was just taking pictures and stuff like that out there. But once you step inside, it's actually like a really amazing, really amazing museum. It's a really amazing museum. It has so many exhibits, and even like it used to be the actual residency of a former Mexican emperor. His name was Maximilian the First of Mexico. So actually some of the rooms were recreated from his actual residency, so you could see all of the lavish furnishings, decor, and stuff like that. You could see how the wealthy lived. You could see how royalty lived out in Mexico. But in addition to that, they also have like different eras from like Mexican history, ranging from like the Conquest era to New Spain, Viceregal era, the Mexican War of Independence, the Revolution of 1910. They have all of that good stuff in artwork where you can see like influences from all of these different time periods just showcased throughout the entire castle. And once you get to the top, you actually go outside. They have an outdoor garden and actually an old observatory where you can really see some really great sights. So make sure you go check out the Museo Nacional de Historia. Going to be one of your favorite attractions when you visit Mexico City. The next museum on our list can be found in the historic center of Mexico City, the Museo Nacional de Arte. The museum was established in 1982 in a neoclassical style architecture building, so it's like this huge building encompassing like an entire block. And as you can imagine, like the entire thing is filled with artwork. It's insane. It's over 3,000 works of art that's showcased throughout this museum. The cool thing about the exhibits is that it goes through a lot of different So the cool thing about this museum is that it sections off all of the exhibits into 3 distinct eras that were very important to like Mexican history and artwork. So going through the museum, you'll actually walk through the timeline of the artwork, and you really get to see like all of the influential things that impacted the artwork from that exact era. For example, the first exhibit is about the colonial era exhibition, which covers art from 1550 all the way to 1821. Continuing on, you'll run into the post-Mexican independence exhibit, which actually has like really amazing pieces, and it covers works from after independence leading up to the whole century after that. So a lot of amazing things happen from there. And then the third comes from post-Mexican Revolution going all the way to the 1950s. So it gets a little bit more into the modern times, but not quite there yet. The Museo de Arte Moderno, which is actually in Chapultepec too. It's a lot of museums in Chapultepec Park. It's that big. But the museum actually covers like all of modern Mexican art, and also sprinkles in a little bit of international flavor as well from a lot of artists. But it was founded in 1964, and just going through it, you see artwork from the 1930s all the way to the present day. And it's a lot of very famous Mexican artists, such as Frida Kahlo, of course, Rufino Tamayo, Jose Clemente Orozco, Remedios Ferrero, and Diego Rivera, just to name a few. So you want to make sure you walk through that. They have like some great permanent exhibits from all of these artists, but also like the museum archives were so large that they couldn't showcase everything all at the same time. So a lot of the temporary exhibits are still from like famous Mexican artists. They just show them for like a brief period so they could cycle through everything that they have. So pretty much anytime that you go, you're gonna see something new. So make sure you go check it out the first time you go, so the next time you visit Mexico City, you'll be able to see something very new. The next museum we have on our list is Museo Frida Kahlo, also known as La Casa Azul, just because when you get there out in Coyoacan, you'll realize that it's a big blue house, which is actually her childhood home. She lived here, grew up here, actually died here, and lived with her husband Diego Rivera, which is also another very internationally known Mexican artist. So all of her artwork is really showcased here. It has a lot of memorabilia, personal items, letters, you name it. The house was actually preserved from the time that she died in the 1950s all the way up until now. So you see everything in its natural light. It's just a big blue house filled with amazing artwork. She really didn't become a prominent figure in the art world until 40 years after her death, which is kind of crazy to think about. After her death, her husband Diego Rivera actually dedicated the house in her honor and wanted it converted into a museum, so all of her artwork is showcased here. So ever since she pretty much like blew up on the international scene when it comes to artwork, which happened like 40 years after her death, this place has become one of the most popular places in Coyoacan, and just museums in general out of Mexico City. So you can see a lot of artwork from her husband Diego Rivera, and also a lot of associated acts in the art world that used to frequent. It was like pretty much like an artist hangout for like all of the popular artists out of Mexico City. So you want to make sure you stop by there and check it out. So those were the top 7 museums that you should check out while you're out in Mexico City. So those were the top 7 museums you should check out while you're out in Mexico City. There's over 100 more museums, but these are definitely should be on the top of your bucket list if you want to get a taste of historic Mexican art, modern Mexican art, and even get a taste of like some of the most popular artists out there. So you want to make sure you check out the list, make sure you play it back, make sure you subscribe for some more information, and make sure you check out the website and you get to read more about all of these great museums as well. Shout out to all the culture heads. Appreciate culture.